Welcome to another edition of the Insider Gridiron Report. I'm Jarret Johnson. I'm joined by the mighty Joe Yeager. Mighty Joe, man, we're at the midpoint of the season. Red Raiders are 3-3 overall, 1-2 in the Big 12. You know, and what's funny is like, all right, so going into Big 12 play, they were 2-1, but I didn't feel like the Red Raiders were as good as that record. Now they're 3-3, and I feel like they're better than that record. How does that make any sense?
Yeah, man. I mean, look. Once you get to Oklahoma State, they look like a darn good team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, pulled a 10-point upset over Oklahoma State. You know, looked right as rain. Then come around and surprise a lot of people and just play their tails off down in Waco. Should have won that game over another ranked team. They just look good these last two games. They look. It's not like they're kind of lucking into this stuff or it's a fluke or something. You know, this just looks like a pretty good football team.
You know, there's a lot more that goes into this, but from my viewpoint, from my vantage point, it seems like Jet Duffy's play at quarterback has kind of steadied the whole team. Is that what you've seen, or what else has gone into the Red Raiders' improved play?
Well, I mean, at bare minimum, I think he's exceeded the expectations of the vast majority of people out there,
right,
including me. He's taking care of the ball pretty darn well.
Yeah.
That was my main concern. He had the one fumble against Oklahoma, a couple of picks this last time around against Baylor, but
one of those was on a tip too.
Right.
Batted at the line of scrimmage.
Yep. So, not too bad in that regard, actually. So I mean, yeah, you gotta feel good about it. I mean, the offense looks solid with him running the show. It doesn't look like it's out of sync, and I would certainly go so far as to say that Duffy is playing better right now than Bowman did before he went down with injury.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, right now it's an upgrade, and you got to upgrade at quarterback position. That's definitely going to help your team.
All right, so coming up now is Iowa State. They've won 2 in a row. They beat TCU and West Virginia. They routed both of them after losing a close one in Waco to Baylor. It was back and forth there. They had a huge comeback, and then Baylor, in the end, kicked a field goal in the final minute. So I'm struggling to kind of define how good Iowa State is. You know, Brock Purdy's a good quarterback. He's pretty good. But they've lost some weapons. They had that freshman running back step up and have a big game in Morgantown last week. And they have, good defensive line. They're going to play good defense, that 3-3-8 double cloud that has given so many teams problems, so many spread teams problems over the last couple of years. It's actually kind of similar to what Baylor ran against Tech. So, but I'm struggling right now to define just how good is this Iowa State team. They're a touchdown favorite here in Lubbock, which kind of surprised me. 3 or 4, I get, but I was kind of surprised to see it that high. Joe, how good are these Cyclones that Texas Tech's going to face this week?
They're pretty darn good.
Pretty
darn good. Purdy, we're just going to burn that one into the ground, aren't we, man?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, they are. They don't have as much talent at the skill positions as they had last year.
They don't.
They lost Hakeem Butler, David Montgomery.
Yep.
So they've lost that. But I tell you, the defense is still hard to score against. I mean, you got to kind of work it down the field. You got to be patient. Just like it's going to be the same offensive game plan that you had against Baylor, basically. And that's a good thing because I mean
Right.
You've practiced last week against. That was preparation for this game in a lot of ways from an offensive standpoint. Man, they're really good. They got on defense. They got Ray Lima up front, who's a hoss.
Yeah, he is.
He's probably going to be playing at the next level. And you got two. Look, there's a bunch of really good linebackers in the Big 12 right now. Jordan Brooks, Kenneth Murray at Oklahoma.
Yes.
But Iowa State has a couple, and Mike Rose and Marcel Spears.
Oh, yeah.
Both of those guys are, boy, I mean, they're going to give you some problems. I also got a safety that I really like. His name's Eisworth, Greg Eisworth. He's from Texas, somewhere down here. He's not a big guy. He's about 200, 205 maybe. Plays the safety position, but plays it like a linebacker. You're going to see him flying all over the field, making plays, creating havoc. He's always around the ball. And then, so you got these players over there that are pretty darn good, and you got a really good coach in Heathcock. And they're a well-schooled team. They just, again, one of those teams that's not on defense, certainly going to beat itself. You've got to create stuff because they're not going to give it to you.
Yeah.
So you got that. I think offensively, Iowa State is decent, but I don't think it's, again, somewght like Baylor. But they're not going. It's not like Oklahoma or Oklahoma State's offense where you're worried about all these guys. Yeah, exactly. Purdy is a legitimate quarterback. I mean, and he started out the season poorly, like the entire team, and lo and behold, he's got it together now, and the team is getting it together. Funny how that works. Yes, it is. I think their offensive line is just okay. You know, I think it's solid. It's not great. They'll give up a sack and some pressure here and there. They're not generating a whole lot in the ground game. They had the one back do the good job last week against West Virginia, but still, you haven't got anybody back there that's even remotely like David Montgomery. So it's kind of by committee there, and you got a bunch of guys averaging 4 something a carry. You know, now the receivers I think are a little bit better than the running backs. You got Kohler, a tight end who's about as good as any Big 12 tight end right now, including Carcaterra from Oklahoma. He's really good. Okay. And then you got some really nice possession receivers, and then you got a deep threat in Tariq Milton, who's averaging 22 yards per catch. So that's a nice group of receivers. And when you got an accurate passer like Purdy and those receivers, that's where you got to focus your efforts, is that passing game. And, you know, I think the way maybe to disrupt this a little bit is to put pressure on Purdy, because what I've seen from him in the past is if you are able to get some shots on him, he'll get a little bit frustrated. You know, kind of maybe get out of his game a little bit. So I think you're going to see Tech come after him quite a bit. The way they came after Spencer Sanders against Oklahoma State, although it's a totally different kind of.
Charlie Brewer in the first half, they got after.
That's right. And so you backed out in the second half, and look what happened. Yep. So maybe there's a lesson learned there. We hope.
Absolutely. 11 a.m. kick, homecoming for Texas Tech against Iowa State Saturday this weekend. Games on FS1 for those watching out there in TV land. Mighty Joe, great stuff from you as always. Thank y'all for watching, and until next time.